So this is the presentation on contribution of megalithic culture toward the development of steel technology. So all of you are aware that metals and materials played key role in the life of man. Civilization is both developed and limited by materials. So materials are the index of the technological development. So in this context, what was happening in India? In India, metal production started 6,500 years ago at Mehergarh. Mehergarh was the early farming settlement. So with the help of farming settlement and metal production, this resulted in civilization to end civilization. Investment casting, you are observing, that was in civilization contribution to the metal technology. Today also we are using this for making gas turbines and other parts. So in civilization, the first urbanization, that is in Bronze Age. Later on, Iron Age started about 1800 years ago, 1800 years BC, that is from Mallar site. So here, megalithic people contributed a lot in the development of this steel technology. Megalithic culture was spread in Vidarbha region across number of districts. So, number of excavations has yielded number of objects. These objects are available in Deccan College. So I got associated with Deccan College. So courtesy of Deccan College, I used to investigate all these samples and in my laboratory. So all these are objects from different sites like Maurzari, Naikur, Kaparkeda, etc. So this object I have taken for investigation, metallurgical investigation. So this first photograph shows you slag and relief marking. That it means that slag indicates the object was not made by casting, but it was made by forging. It is clear-cut evidence of forge welding technology. Again, the same microstructure, but at different level. Some stress relief, that means some heat treatment was there. Layer structure is shown by short arrows. This is layer structure. And here, this one. Next one. Next one. This layer structure shows the object was made by lamination, and the slag shows it is not obtained by casting technique, it was made by forging or bloomery technique. This is one more weapon I have taken from dagger blade from Bhagimori. It shows again the slag and layering, that is lamination technology was used. Another area is from the same implement, that is dagger blade. The arrow is very surprising thing. It indicates the attempt towards the heat treatment, toward the hardening of the sample, but that attempt was unsuccessful. This was not correct attempt, because you can see here, this is not the correct phase of martensite what we expect from the tool. It is somewhat attempt towards the hardening, quenching and tempering. This is acicular phase of martensite. So this is journey toward the steel technology. Again the same sample we have taken. So here you can see the section of that sample will show the flow lines. Entire cut section will flow lines. It means that the sample was made by forging. So after extracting the sample in the furnace, it was taken out. The lumps were joined by lamination technique and then intentionally carbonized in the furnace by using forging technique. The flow lines clear cut reveal it was made by forging. The end of the tip is somewhat darkened. It means that it was hardened, quenched and tempered. So during tempering what happens? The cementite carbide comes out, and because of the etching response is somewhat rapid. So when etching response is rapid, the edge is dark. So this is somewhat external observation. Internally also tempered martensite was there. It is somewhat larger magnifications. This is from core of the sample. It shows the ferrite network on pearlitic colonies that totally steeling was there at the surface. Again, the ferrite network on pearlitic colonies revealing the steeling attempt. So dense pearlite is present around the sand slingers. At higher magnification it is shown. So this is the clear cut microstructure of steel. Again the same but at different magnification. So this tells what was happened during the processing sequence. The phase transformation from austenite to martensite was there. Because of that, the hardness was given to the sample, and this became so hard that you require tempering at higher temperature to impart some softness. Otherwise, that will break or that will broken down in the surface. So to impart this softness, again tempering was done. So this is the clear-cut reconstruction of hardening, quenching, in addition to steeling, and moreover, tempering treatment was done after quenching. So this is the clear-cut indication of the tempered martensite, similar to present tool steels. So what we observe in our regular microscopical practicals, tempered martensite. So this was present in that sample 3000 years back from Mahuzari. So clear-cut indication of sequence of heat treatment in addition to steeling of the sample. The above diagram shows how it occurs, but it is not the platform to explain all the metallurgical details because of some different background, different audience will require. Otherwise, I can explain everything how this was happened, might have happened. Coming to the point, how this object was constructed. This kind of furnace was used. Maximum temperature achieved by using this kind of furnace was 1350. We wrote a paper on this to Current Science. It will be published by thermodynamic analysis. So maximum temperature was 1350. So it is not possible to melt iron by using this kind of furnace. Then what was the remedy? Is to reduce the iron in solid state form. Technology known as solid state reduction or Blumeri technique. So this furnace evidence was found at Naikund. The same furnace can be used for subsequent heat treatments. So after getting iron lumps were joined by lamination technique, and again they are forged in the furnace. During forging, the charcoal was there. So because of high temperature and carbon presence, carbon will diffuse in the surface of the implement. As soon as carbon diffuse, the phase, that is martensite, is obtained. To make it hard, you have to quench that. After quenching, you will get hardness to the sample, similar to tool steel. So edge of that sample was hard because of this hardening and quenching. But what happens, again, because of hardness is so much hard, so there is every chance of cracking distortion of this object during the service. So these people were so much wise, they use again heat treatment, which is known as today tempering at lower temperature, to lower the hardness of this sample, to make it somewhat soft at lower temperature. And the evidence of this tempering was obtained from this microphotograph, that is tempered martensite. This was the process used. Again, we confirm this pattern in number of objects. Nikon sizzle, again it shows the tempered martensite with carbides at 400 magnification. It's a Bagimuri tool object with there is some ring in there. The arrow shows lath martensite and thick arrow shows tempered martensite. Again, the clear-cut evidence of tempering. Martensite. Which one? Small arrow. Small arrow is actually martensite is having two kind of phases, that is lath and acicular. So this is somewhat morphological terms that we use for martensite. All these studies reveal that the iron objects obtained from these sites must have undergone similar treatments. Some of the iron objects are hardened and quenched purposefully to impart the hardness, to make them tools or to use them as a tools, to eliminate the bad effects of quenching, cracks, distortion. The objects are subsequently tempered at lower temperature. In addition to the knowledge of steeling, megalithic people developed sequence of heat treatment, that is hardening, quenching, tempering, around 900 BCE. Today also we are using this same technique without any modification. So this resulted in number of objects subsequently, from massive Delhi iron pillars to number of objects were made from this, cannons were made from this. Of course, there is a lot of things to be studied, how these massive objects were made from this technology. We documented in the form of projects, number of cannons. This is part of different projects. So I will skip this. And this is different area, that is wood steel. I will skip this again. Zinc smelting by these people, Rajasthan also. So the milestones at the beginning of metallurgy at Mehergarh, 4500 BC, Bronze Age, that is end civilization, then Iron Age, then hardening, quenching, tempering. This was our contribution, that is megalithic contribution to steel technology, and all these are other interesting things on the canvas of Indian metallurgy. Okay, thank you, audience.
Thank you, Dr. Deshpande, for this interesting presentation on metallurgical aspects. May I request Mr. Shyam to please honor Dr. Pandey with the garland over here. Dr. Shyam or Dr. Akhilesh?
Any questions?
Anyone of the organizers who is available here?
Deshpande ji, wonderful presentation. I have to congratulate you for such wonderful work you have been doing. My simple query is, what is the beginning of steel in India? When can we call a certain material steel? And are we the first people on the earth to make steel? Was steel made first, in India, other than any other country?
Yeah.
And of course, you'll have evidence to show that.
Actually, steel, in real sense, we are not made. We are actually using surface steeling technique. So I will show you what was happening. So surface of the object was steel, not core. The core was not steel.
Okay.
The surface was steel.
So where does exactly the beginning of steel is in India?
Steel age in India. So, you mean to say Iron Age or Steel Age? Iron Age 1800 BC.
No, I understand that, steel is,
because-
byproduct of iron only. But then if somebody asks simple question, when steel began in India, can we say 1000 BC? Can we say 500 BC?
There is one more parallel
Are
development.
we the first people to make
That is-
steel?
Wood steel was there, crucible steel was there.
Yeah, I'm asking about,
So 700 BC.
maybe you can explain, what amount of carbon has to be there when you can say this is steel. So
Yeah.
I'm asking that answer maybe. So we can say steely iron.
Steel, actually steel is a family of materials. There are about 50,000 varieties of steel in the market today. So the basic definition of steel is iron plus carbon. So this carbon should be more than 0.15%. More than 0.15%.
Then you can call it steel.
It is steel. Up to
When
1.
when that situation comes in India.
You can call this as a steel, but at the surface. So that's why this is known as steeling attempt. This is not steel. This is steeling attempt. Steeling. Steeling was there. But wood steel was high carbon steel. So if you look toward the development of wood steel, so wood steel we can call as a steel. So this was South Indian development crucible steel. Even the micro cemented wires were found in this wood steel. So it was steel actually.
Thank you.
At 3rd century BC.
Thank you, Dr. Deshpande. Now,
Could I ask one more?
please, just one question.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No. This is our indigenous technology. Because you can see here, these are, can you see, the rings are there. So this was our contribution to the cannon technology. This was not cast. These are forge welded cannons. These were not cast. Yeah. So this is medieval metallurgy. Medieval metallurgy.
Thank you very much for your nice presentation. This one, can you tell us that how to identify casted and forged iron these cannons? And secondly, according to my experience, when we lift iron artifacts from the coastal or the sea, within a year or 2 years,
They are corroded.
we lose it. No, we totally lose it.
Yeah.
But how do you preserve your iron artifacts, whatever you have collected from the sites?
Yeah. These are in preserved
Cannon,
state.
archaeological, not these big cannons. Okay.
Yeah. These articles are in preserved state in Deccan College because they are excavated from underground and it might be having higher phosphorus content. So now we are working on the corrosion resistance of these implements.
Thank you, Dr.